In this video, I'll be giving an in-depth review of the Joyo bantamp Jackman. I'm going to be seeing what tones you can get out of this little thing, seeing how well it takes pedals, I'll review the features it comes with, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. Let's get right to it. Hi, I'm Alexis. Welcome to Alexis Guitars, a channel all about guitar gear reviews, demos, and comparisons. Now, the Joyo bantamp series of amp heads have been out for years now, and I've been wanting to try one ever since I saw them first appear on YouTube videos. I managed to get my hands on this Jackman, which is their Marshall voiceover-inspired amp, for only €88 from Thomann. It was part of their Cyber Week deals at the end of last year. At that price, I just had to give it and get one. At the time of filming this video, the price has gone back to about €99. I'm going to keep this review fairly structured, so do check the timestamps in the description below. Now, I have already made a separate video on this amp, which is just a tone demo using 3 guitars, a Strat, a Tele, and a guitar with a humbucker and a bridge. So if you just want to check out how this thing sounds, no review, just a tone demo, I'll leave a link to that on the screen somewhere up here and in the description below as well. So let's take a closer look at the amp. It's a 20-watt hybrid amp head, which means it's got a valve preamp section and a solid-state power amp section. To give you an idea of how small this thing is, here it is next to my orange Terrace stamp, which is also pretty tiny, and next to a couple pedals. So I've had this amp for almost 2 months now, and my first impression straight out of the box is that it looks great. I'm really impressed by the build quality from what I can tell from the exterior. All the parts feel really secure, the switches feel sturdy, the knobs turn really smoothly, and the metal chassis seems like it's going to protect everything that's inside it. Now, the only thing in this regard which could be a little bit better is the power input section at the back. Now, I've had no issues with this, it just feels a little bit flimsy in what's otherwise a very well put together amp. So on the front panel of this amp, you have the input, you have a channel selector switch for the clean or the overdrive channel, and another mini switch here for the Bluetooth on or Bluetooth off function. We'll talk more about that later. 3 knobs, gain, tone, and volume. Now, on this version of the Jackman, these 3 knobs are shared between the 2 channels. There is actually a newer, pricier version of this, the Jackman II, and that comes with 6 knobs, basically independent controls for each channel, and it also comes with a foot switch to switch between the channels. This is a more stripped-back, older version. And finally, here's the on-off switch. So around the back of this amp, you have the Bluetooth antenna, you have a speaker out which has minimum 8 ohms, and 8 ohms is recommended to get the full 20 watts out of this amp. You have your power input socket here, headphones out if you want to listen to this through headphones, we'll talk about that later, and an effects loop, which is an awesome feature to have. So enough talk about the amp, let's get to some tones now. I'm going to be using this guitar here, this T-type with a Seymour Duncan 59 in the bridge and a Seymour Duncan quarter pound in the neck. I'm using this guitar because in my other tone video I used a Strat, Tele and humbucker, and I wanted a different guitar for this one just to mix it up in terms of sounds. Check out the other video if you want to hear a variety of guitars going into this thing. So I'm going to start on the clean channel, and that'll be the guitar going straight into the amp. I'm then going to check out how well it takes pedals, and afterwards I'll switch to the overdrive channel. So the amp is going into the 2 notes cab M, and that's simulating an orange 2x12 cab with vintage 30s and no post EQ. That's the audio you're hearing. What I'm hearing in the room is the amp going into this Harley Benton 1x12 cab, also with a vintage 30, so what I'm hearing in the room should be fairly similar to what you'll be hearing in the video. Also, very quickly, because I forgot to mention, I've got a power attenuator between the amp and the cab, and that's just to manage the volumes in the room, but also turn the amp loud enough so that I can get a good signal to record with. So pay no attention to where I've got the volume set. Normally that will be a very loud sound for a room, but I need it there with a power attenuator so I can record. Alright, finally onto some tones. I've got the gain and tone knob set to noon. I'm on the clean channel, and here's how it sounds. And on the neck. And in the middle. Cool, well to me, straight away, that's a usable sound. I would personally like a bit more brightness, a bit more presence, but that there is a decent enough clean tone to jam with. Yeah, that's good enough for me, but I would personally like a bit more brightness. So now will be a good time to check out the tone sweep of this. I'll start all the way anti-clockwise and see what that does. That to me just sounds like if I had a tone knob on this guitar, I'd have rolled it all the way down. Yeah, to me that's not really a usable tone, especially probably on the neck position. Yeah, that's just way too boomy. Need a lot more treble than that. So let's go up a little bit. That's about 10 o'clock now, and that's a lot better. Yeah, that's better. Like I said, I want a bit more brightness, but that's a usable tone. Back to noon for reference. And let's go a little bit brighter. Now we're talking. That's got a bit more presence, a bit more life to it. Yeah, that's sounding really good to me. This is all the way up. Starting to get a little bit too bright maybe. I actually like the sound. I like bright guitar tones. But maybe it's a little bit too harsh. I actually like it kind of around here. So I'll leave it there for now, and let's check out what the gain knob does on the clean channel. So obviously all the way off, you get nothing. You need to compensate with the volume when you turn the gain down. So if you want a pure clean tone with no kind of extra bite or attack when you really dig in, you want the gain knob a little bit lower. I personally find that a little bit dull. I prefer on this amp the gain a bit higher. So we've heard noon already. Let's go a little bit higher. So that already sounds like it's nowhere near having an overdrive, but it sounds like it's boosted a little bit. And it's quite dynamic, so if you pick softly, and then if you dig in, you get some pretty awesome tones. Let's take it up all the way. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. Maybe a little bit higher. That is an awesome tone. That's got that brightness, that life to it. It's dynamic. Like I said, you can play softly. Play a bit harder. It's responsive. I like that. I normally use it kind of around here on the clean channel. That to me just has a nice balance between a clean tone and something that's getting to that break-up-y kind of tone. So, all in all, I think the clean tone is good, it's usable. I do think it benefits greatly from having some kind of effects, especially in the effects loop, just to kind of liven it up a little bit. So at the moment now, I've got the flashback delay going into the effects loop. I've got it set a little bit higher than I normally would, just to kind of show it off a little bit more. I normally like my delays to be a really, really subtle thing, but just for the purposes of this recording, here's it, the same setting there with a bit of delay going in the back. I'm having a lot of fun with that tone. I think the clean channel with something in the back, I don't have a reverb pedal. I just use a bit of delay just on a subtle setting, kind of like what I had just now, and that just brings it to life. And now this clean channel is really, really good. So we've heard an effect pedal going in the effects loop. That works really well. Let's see how this takes overdrive going in the front of the amp. So the first overdrive pedal I'm using is the Tubescreamer Mini. I figured that'll be a good one to start with because it's quite a familiar sound. Here's the setting I've got on the clean channel without anything in the effects loop. So this is just the amp. So a nice sound, like I said, very usable. Let's see what the Tubescreamer does at classic settings. So gain all the way down, volume at max, and I've got the tone setting at noon. Okay, well, that is, to be honest, quite a bright sound. I really like it, but it is quite bright. I would probably turn the tone knob down a little bit for that. It's a bit more usable now. So far it's taking it well. Let's add a bit of gain. Let's go to midway and turn the volume down a little bit. So that's sounding awesome. Let's just boost the gain all the way. All right, well, in my opinion, it passed the test. Whether a Tubescreamer works in front of it, I think that sounds really good and just shows off this is a good pedal platform. I've got two more overdrive pedals to show you before we go to the overdrive channel of this amp. Okay, so the next pedal I'm demoing this with is one of Joyo's own. It's the Joyo Maximum Drive. It's a full drive 2 copy, I believe, and it's great for lower gain and just adding a bit more dynamics to your playing. So I've got it on the flat setting, on the MOSFET setting, and here's how it is without the pedal. And here's with. So there you go. I think it takes a lower gain pedal like this really well. It just adds a bit more dynamics to the tone. And you can have something like this on and then turn the volume of the guitar down. And it's not quite clean, but it's clean enough for me. I like that. And then when you want to get a bit louder, there you go. And the final pedal I want to demo with this is the Harley Benton Ultimate Drive. It's also a Joyo pedal, but branded Harley Benton if you buy it in Europe, as far as I know. And this is better for higher gain rock tones. So let's see what a higher gain pedal does into the clean channel. Here's the clean. And with the pedal. the volume maybe about 5 o'clock. Max. Okay, well I had a lot of fun with that pedal. Does this amp take pedals well? Yes, absolutely it does. The Tubescreamer and the Joyo Maximum Drive were great just to kind of add more dynamics to your playing, take it maybe to a classic rock territory, but certainly blues rock and those kind of tones sounded awesome. This pedal was a lot of fun. It's not really a tone I would use. I think for higher gain I would normally use an Overdrive Channel and a Tubescreamer. We'll check that out later on this amp, but it did sound fun, it did sound cool. It's just up to you whether that's a sound that you would use. And having an effects loop in the back means you can plug in a delay or a reverb or something, and that just adds so much life to the clean channel and really changes it from a rather uninspiring but good enough clean tone to something that is inspiring and something that sounds really nice. Alright, onto the Overdrive channel now. I've got the gain and tone set to noon again, just to start with, and the volume I've turned down a little bit to 10 o'clock because the Overdrive channel is a fair bit louder than the clean channel. Remember, I do have a power attenuator plugged in, so normally without a power attenuator, this setting here, 10 o'clock on the volume on the Overdrive channel, that would be too loud for me at home use. I would normally have it set to about 9 o'clock, maybe even 8. Alright, onto some tones. Here is the bridge position on the Overdrive channel. Okay, so straight away it's a really fun sound. Sorry, I got a bit sloppy at the end there. At noon, again up the tone, I think it could benefit from a bit of brightness, so turning the tone knob up a little bit, but that is already straight away a great classic rock tone. Okay, you get the idea. Let's check out the tone knob very quickly on the Overdrive channel, see what range that gives you. Again, sounds like I would have just turned the tone knob down if I had a tone knob on the guitar. Yeah, I wouldn't use that sound. Let's brighten it up a little bit. So this is 10 o'clock on the tone knob. So this is the start of a window for me where it's usable tones. I think it's bright enough. I personally like it brighter, but this is bright enough. It sounds good. Thick sound, I really like it. Okay, let's brighten it up some more. There we go. My playing's really sloppy today, but I'm liking that tone. Let's go all the way up. Okay, well, that's the tone sweep. I think the tone knob on the clean channel as well, what I like about it is that the range isn't massive. It's not like on my Orange Terror stamp where the shape control completely changes the amplifier on one side or the other. What I would say is that the extreme off section, so the extreme anti-clockwise, is unusable for me. But from about 9, 10 o'clock, everything past that is usable. Just depends on your guitar, how bright you want it to sound rather. But I really like it. Bit brighter, kind of around here, and that sounds really good. Let's check out the gain channel now and see what that's like. So at about 9 o'clock, that's a beautiful light overdrive sound. I really like that. And that to me is a great pedal platform sound because it's got a bit of drive to it already, and it's got dynamics so that if you play quietly on that, you get a clean-ish tone, and then when you dig in, get a little bit of crunch to it. I think with an overdrive pushing that, I think that will sound really awesome. We'll check that later though. So we've already seen at this setting, it's a great light overdrive and great dynamics. Let's go up a little bit. What I like about this, certainly in the room, I hope it comes out on the recording as well, is that there's a lot of clarity in the notes as well. When I play a chord, it's got a lot of clarity to it. I hope that comes across in the recording. Probably not, to be honest. Neck pickup. So yeah, great tones there. Let's go up a little bit. We heard noon, so I'll go a bit further to about 2 o'clock. It's a great classic rocky sound. At this setting, and to be honest, at max as well, it doesn't get to metal territory on its own, but classic rock, this amp will have you covered. And that's whether it's kind of chordy kind of stuff, or single note riffs, or lead work. Let's crank the gain. So gain cranked is a usable tone, and that's what I like about this amp. Similar to the tone knob, the sweep of the gain is all usable. Obviously, if it's completely off, you don't hear anything, but from about 9 o'clock all the way up, it's a usable tone. It just depends what you want from this amp. And gain is a really good, gain on max is a really cool setting, just to kind of blast it when your guitar's on full, and clean up with your guitar knob as well. Listen to that, that's awesome. And then when you want to boost it a bit, I'm not a metal player, but hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. That palm muted stuff you can get away with, but it is a classic rocky amp in my opinion. So the Joyo Audio website actually suggests using a TS type pedal on the Overdrive channel just to boost it up a notch to get it to that higher gain territory. So let's see how that sounds. I'll put it on the neutral setting again, so tone at noon, sorry, not neutral, tone at noon, gain at noon as well. And this is how that sounds. So I've got my Tubescreamer set on my classic setting. That's gain all the way down, volume all the way up, and tone at noon. Here's how it sounds. Certainly takes it up a notch. It's quite bright sounding. I hope it's not too bright for the recording in the room. It's kind of as bright as I would like it to be. I don't want it any more bright than that. But that's sounding really good. It's also brought more of the highs out because this pickup is a fairly dark sounding one, which I like. It's nice and round, but this really takes it up a level to some harder rock. Leads are just soaring with this, it just sings. Okay, so Tubescreamer and Overdrive setting is a really good combo. So I want to give you an overview of the Bluetooth function here. Now it's a really cool feature to have and it's super easy to use. You just flick the Bluetooth switch here, the red LED turns blue so you know it's on. That's a cool feature, and it's super easy to connect with your phone. But the issue with a Bluetooth feature is that if you want to jam along to backing tracks, or if you're streaming a song that you like and you just want to play along to it, the Bluetooth audio is a lot quieter than the guitar signal. So what that means is that you actually need to turn the guitar down from the guitar's volume to match the same volume, but then that really changes your guitar tone. So if you're just jamming along and you don't really care how your guitar sounds, you just want to practice, you just want to play along, then it's okay and it's a cool feature to have. But if your tone is important to you when you're jamming along to these tracks, that might be a bit of an issue. Now I'd like to demonstrate this to you, but I don't want any copyright issues, so I'm going to use one of my old band's songs. The band was called Beowulfs. First is going to be a clip of just the Bluetooth audio, so that's just the song being streamed, I'm not playing along or anything. Then I'm going to play you just the isolated guitar, so not the Bluetooth thing, and the guitar is going to be at guitar full volume so that you can hear the difference in volume there. Hopefully that'll demonstrate what I mean. Now the other feature of this amp I want to show you is the headphones out with cap sim. Now I wasn't sure what the best way is to demonstrate this to you, so what I've done is I've connected a cable from the headphones out of the amp into this loudspeaker here. Now this is a really good loudspeaker, so this will be the best that the cap sim can probably sound. Now playing it just through headphones, I don't know how I can demonstrate this, so I'm just going to tell you. Just plugging your normal headphones in the back of this amp, it just doesn't sound good. Clean sounds okay. As soon as you switch to the overdrive or you turn any gain on, it really just doesn't sound good. Maybe for practicing, if you don't care how it sounds, you just want to hear something, it's alright, but just from headphones it doesn't sound that good. But if you want to plug a external speaker, a good external speaker, because you can manage the volumes a lot better with that, this is how it will sound. Now the way I'm going to record this is I'm just going to record it with my lapel mic, so you'll hear the audio which I'm hearing in the room. It might be a bit quieter, so I'm going to turn the volume up of this thing. And hopefully that will give you an idea of how it sounds through a very good quality external speaker. Here's the clean tone on the bridge pickup. And let me switch to the overdrive channel. So that's a little taster there. It's very thick sounding, it's not the best cab sim, but through a loudspeaker like this, a good quality one, you can get passable tones just for practicing. If you're just listening through headphones, I'm sorry, I don't know how to demonstrate that to you, but if you just plug in your headphones at the back, then it really doesn't sound that good. So before I go into my overall thoughts about this amp, let me know in the comments below what you think about it, and also if you've tried any of the other Joyo bantamp amp heads, let me know in the comments below how this one compares. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, and if you're new here and enjoy content like this, please do consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything from the channel in the future. So what do I think of this amp? To be honest, I think it's awesome. I mean, I paid 88 euros for this, which is ridiculous. For 88 euros, this is definitely worth it. It's currently 99 euros on Thomann, and I would still happily pay 99 euros for this. I think it's a really cool bit of gear. Now, like I said earlier, there is actually a newer version of this amp, which is called the Jackman II, part of their Bantamp XL range, and that has separate knobs for each channel, which is pretty cool, and it also comes with a foot switch, so you can select the channel you want. Now, I contacted Joyo on Instagram and asked them whether the voicing of a Jackman I is the same as the voicing of a Jackman II, and the response I got was that it is almost the same sound. Now, having got this one instead of the new one, I do see the benefit of having the separate controls for each channel, because the Overdrive channel is considerably louder than the clean channel. So you can't just simply flick the switch, you do need to flick the switch and change the settings in order to get the same level of volume. To be honest though, that's not a big deal for me because I tend to be a set and forget person. I tend to either use the clean channel and use it as a pedal platform to get my range of tones, or I use the Overdrive channel and use my guitar's volume knob to clean up if I want a clean tone. And with this amp you can do both really well. So for me, in that respect, I'm happy enough with this one. I don't particularly care that it hasn't got the separate functions, although I do see the benefit. If you are someone that tends to switch between channels quite often, then you might want to consider the Jackman II. And the other thing to consider is that the Jackman II is currently about 60–70 euros more expensive than this one. And considering the sound is fairly similar according to Joyo themselves, I'm more than happy with this. So in summary, what does this amp do well? Well, the clean channel is really good. It's not amazing, but it definitely gets you usable tones. The main thing about the clean tone, which I really like, is that it's a great pedal platform. Sticking something in the effects loop like a delay here really livens up the sound and gives you some really beautiful clean tones, and it takes overdrive pedals very well. The overdrive channel though is awesome, and it gets really loud. Not gigging loud unless you're mic'd up obviously, but you can probably get away with a jam session as long as your drummer isn't too loud. The tones you get out of this definitely remind me of the Marshall tone. It doesn't nail it, but it gets close enough, and I really like how it sounds. It covers lower gain crunch and bluesy tones really well, and if you turn the gain up, playing hard rock riffs has a lot of articulation and a lot of punch in the tone. Now, I've tried this with different guitars, and I find that I really like the sounds out of this from the Overdrive channel without any pedals. I think it sounds articulate enough, it sounds tight enough for the music I play. But what's great is that if you stick a Tubescreamer in front of it, it really does tighten everything up, and it does take it up that level. It's not a metal amp, and even with a Tubescreamer, it won't take you to metal territory, but it will take you to hard rock and heavier classic rock tones. One thing to bear in mind though is that because the Overdrive channel can get quite bright, if you stick an overdrive pedal in front of it, which tends to take away some of the lows and emphasize the rest, like a Tubescreamer for example, that can sound a little bit shrill at times. The solution is pretty simple though. You either need to just adjust the tone setting of the pedal or the tone setting of the amp to fit the pedal. The only issues I have with the amp are the extra features like the Bluetooth and the headphones out. Now the Bluetooth, like I said, the Bluetooth audio is too quiet in comparison to the guitar signal, and the headphones out through headphones itself doesn't sound good. It will sound okay through an expensive loudspeaker, but you need an expensive loudspeaker for that. So having those features, they're not something that I personally would use. It's cool that they're there and you can use them and get away with it, but I'm actually happy using this amp without those features. So all in all, this has really whet my appetite for the rest of the Joyo bantamp range, especially the higher gain amp ones, because that's something that's missing from my collection. So where do I see this amp fitting in? Well, I personally think it's great for home use because you can get some really great tones at manageable volumes. It's also really good for recording demos, for videos like this, or just getting your ideas down, because you can record silently without having a speaker attached to it because it's a hybrid amp and not a full tube amp. It will get loud enough, in my opinion, for a jam session, and if a gig is mic'd, you can gig with this and I'd be happy with the tone, but out of my amp collection, which is the Orange Terrace amp, and I've also got an Orange TH30 1x12 combo, the Jackman wouldn't be my first choice, but it will be a great backup. So I think I'll leave the video there for now. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you found this helpful and that you enjoyed it. That's all for me today. Till next time.